same. We share the love. Embracing the differences like hand in glove. Spreading peace and joy, it's a beautiful sight. Together we shine in each other's light. Together we stand in love's pure mind. Watching the world in love. Heartbeat, our peaceful flag. Colors of harmony, painting the night. Together we stand in love's pure mind.
Well, good evening, everyone. We're right back at it again with our next show. We're going to be waiting for the President of the United States to give his special announcement. So if you'd like to tune in, we have to wait until he actually comes on. So be patient with us. If you want to hear from the President what he has to say, you will be able to hear the entire presentation here, the press conference. Yes, indeed. Welcome back to you, Stella. Thank you so much. She's encouraging everyone to please be respectful and hit the like button, share, and subscribe. So let's just hang out until the President of the United States comes forward with his whole spiel. I want you guys to, as we wait for the president to come on with a special announcement, I want you to tell us, let's play a guessing game. Do you think this is going to be about Venezuela? Perhaps we're going to war. Tell us what you think about that. Do you think that's what the special announcement will be about? We love to hear from you guys. Hit the like button, share, and subscribe. We should be starting in less than 5 minutes. So we're just trying to get in to see what's going to develop here as Donald Trump addresses the nation. I'm really excited to hear what this is about. I think it's going to be about what's happening in Venezuela, but let's see. Is there anyone else that feels the same way? Stella does too. Okay, we'll have to see what happens. As you come in, tell us where you're tuning in from. Again, we're waiting on the President of the United States. We're going to broadcast live his speech to the nation at this monumental press conference. We'll have to see what develops here. Okay, Thomas says it's going to be about the economy and other accomplishments. That's what you think this is going to be about? I really heard the president talk about that pretty much every other day for the last 2 or 3 weeks, but we'll see. It might be the case. Edith Washington, 7760, says, for what to hear another lie? Okay, you think the president's just going to lie to us? Amber says, barf. Okay, so you think it's just a barf, huh? Okay, let's see what happens though. Juan Hernandez says, great job. Shout out to you, Juan. Welcome back to the channel. We're excited to hear. I hope it's about Venezuela, but I don't know. We'll have to see what it's going to be about. Hopefully, we're less than 3 minutes away. But until then, feel free to give your comments and tell us where you're tuning in from. Juan says President Trump is the best. Okay, Trump supporter in the building. Shout out to you, Juan. Okay, Crossfire says, of course, he's going to lie. He's a habitual liar. Okay, not a fan of Donald Trump. Welcome back, Crossfire. Nice to have you here. I remember your name. Okay. Juan says, you're from Fayetteville, North Carolina. I've been there many times before. I'm a native. I'm from Virginia, so I've been to Fayetteville quite a few times. Janet says, F Trump. Not a fan of Trump. Okay, well, you're going to hear a lot from the president tonight. I probably predict at least 2 hours. What do you guys think? At least 2 hours. Hit the like button, please. Share and subscribe so we can get a few more eyes on the Situation Room. Johnson says Trump should resign. Do you folks a favor? Okay, Johnson, you sound like you might not be in this country. Tell us where you're tuning in from. Amber says definitely didn't mean to send hearts. Okay. You're not so fond of the president of the United States. I get it. But we accept the hearts here at Watching the World. We'd like to have you here, so thank you very much. Whenever you hit the heart, it helps the channel, believe it or not. It's almost like synonymous with hitting the like button as well. So, Amber, where you from? Okay. Johnson, I figured you were out of the country. You're from the UK. All right. Nice to have you. I was out in Italy recently, and I'm actually going back to Egypt next. In a couple months, I'll be in Egypt. I was supposed to be going to Greece, but we changed it up a bit. Juan says, airborne. Okay. There are many haters in here, but they might change their minds on a vote for JD. Okay. So you're a JD Vance fan. Okay. Okay. Stella's responding to someone. All right, guys, the president should be on in about a minute or two. At least we should see some action. Once he comes on, I'm going to remove myself from the screen and we're going to see what he has to say. As you come in, hit the like button, share, and subscribe so we can get more people involved, more comments. As we try to have a meeting of the mind, at this channel, we have predominantly, I would say, 50-50 Democrats and MAGA or Republicans. And we often have a meeting of the minds, but no one is abused in our chat. We try to encourage everyone not to use vulgar language and all those type of things as well. So thank you very much. Here we go. Looks like we're starting. Johnson Street says, be safe on your travels. Okay, I definitely will. Thank you for being here. Thanks for supporting the channel. I really do appreciate it. Looks like we might be starting soon to hear what this special announcement is about. Again, I think it might be about Venezuela, but what do you guys think? Tell us in the comments. If you think it's about Venezuela, put a 1 in the comment. If you think it's about something else, state it in the comment section. And thank you guys so much for the support. We should be starting any moment now. Okay. Kamante says, I believe it'll be about the economy. Okay, so you're the second person that's saying that. Here we go.
Good evening, America. 11 months ago, I inherited a mess. and I'm fixing it. When I took office, inflation was the worst in 48 years, and some would say in the history of our country, which caused prices to be higher than ever before, making life unaffordable for millions and millions of Americans. This happened during a Democrat administration, and it's when we first began hearing the word affordability. Our border was open, and because of this, our country was being invaded by an army of 25 million people, many who came from prisons and jails, mental institutions, and insane asylums. They were drug dealers, gang members, and even 11,888 murderers, more than 50% of whom killed more than one person. This is what the Biden administration allowed to happen to our country, and it can never be allowed to happen again. We had men playing in women's sports, transgender for everybody, crime at record levels with law enforcement, and words such as that just absolutely forbidden. We had the worst trade deals ever made, and our country was laughed at from all over the world. But they're not laughing anymore. Over the past 11 months, we have brought more positive change to Washington than any administration in American history. There's never been anything like it, and I think most would agree. I was elected in a landslide, winning the popular vote and all 7 swing states and everything else, with a mandate to take on a sick and corrupt system that really just took the wealth from people and crushed the dreams of the American people. For the last 4 years, the United States was ruled by politicians who fought only for insiders, illegal aliens, career criminals, corporate lobbyists, prisoners, terrorists, and above all, foreign nations, which took advantage of us at levels never seen before. They flooded your cities and towns with illegal aliens. They decimated your hard-earned savings. They indoctrinated your children with hate for America. They just released a level of violent felons that we had never seen to prey on innocent. They caused war. They caused mayhem. They caused a horrible situation all over the globe. But now you have a president who fights for the law-abiding, hardworking people of our country, the ones who make this nation run, who make this nation work. And after just 1 year, we have achieved more than anyone could have imagined. Starting on day one, I took immediate action to stop the invasion of our southern border. For the past 7 months, 0 illegal aliens have been allowed into our country, a feat which everyone said was absolutely impossible. Do you remember when Joe Biden said that he needed Congress to pass legislation to help close the border? He was always blaming Congress and everyone else. As it turned out, we didn't need legislation. We just needed a new president. We inherited the worst border anywhere in the world, and we quickly turned it into the strongest border in the history of our country. In other words, in a few short months, we went from worst to best. We're deporting criminals, restoring safety to our most dangerous cities. Just take a look at Washington, D.C. It's at levels of safety that we've never seen before. And they decimated the bloodthirsty foreign drug cartels. We did that all by ourselves with our people, and we're so proud of it because they were poisoning and destroying our population. Drugs brought in by ocean and by sea are now down 94%. We have broken the grip of sinister woke radicals in our schools, and control over those schools is back now in the hands of our great and loving states where education belongs. After rebuilding the United States military in my first term, and with the addition we are adding right now, we have the most powerful military anywhere in the world, and it's not even close. I've restored American strength, settled 8 wars in 10 months, destroyed the Iran nuclear threat, and ended the war in Gaza, bringing for the first time in 3,000 years peace to the Middle East, and secured the release of the hostages, both living and dead. Here at home, we're bringing our economy back from the brink of ruin. The last administration and their allies in Congress looted our treasury for trillions of dollars, driving up prices and everything at levels never seen before. I am bringing those high prices down and bringing them down very fast. Let's look at the facts. Under the Biden administration, car prices rose 22% and in many states 30% or more. Gasoline rose 30 to 50%. Hotel rates rose 37%. Airfares rose 31%. Now, under our leadership, they are all coming down and coming down fast. Democrat politicians also sent the cost of groceries soaring, but we are solving that too. The price of a Thanksgiving turkey was down 33% compared to the Biden last year. The price of eggs is down 82% since March, and everything else is falling rapidly. And it's not done yet, but boy, are we making progress. Nobody can believe what's going on. Here are just some of the efforts that we have underway. You will see in your wallets and bank accounts in the new year. After years of record-setting falling incomes, our policies are boosting take-home pay at a historic pace. Under Biden, real wages plummeted by $3,000. Under Trump, the typical factory worker has seen a wage increase of $1,300. For construction workers, it's $1,800. For miners, we're bringing back clean, beautiful coal. It's $3,300. And for the first time in years, wages are rising much faster than inflation. Remember that. The wages, just look at it. Wages are going up much faster than inflation. How big is that? Very importantly, there are more people working today than at any time in American history, and 100% of all jobs created since I took office have been in the private sector. Think of that. 100% of all jobs have been in the private sector rather than government, which is the only way to make a country powerful and great. This historic trend will continue. Already, I've secured a record-breaking $18 trillion of investment into the United States, which means jobs, wage increases, growth, factory openings, and far greater national security. Much of this success has been accomplished by tariffs. My favorite word, tariffs, which for many decades have been used successfully by other countries against us, but not anymore. Companies know that if they build in America, there are no tariffs, and that's why they're coming home to the USA in record numbers. They're building factories and plants at levels we haven't seen, AI, automobiles. We're doing what nobody thought was even possible, not even remotely possible. There has never, frankly, been anything like it. 1 year ago, our country was dead. We were absolutely dead. Our country was ready to fail, totally failed. Now, we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. And that's said by every single leader that I've spoken to over the last 5 months. Next year, you will also see the results of the largest tax cuts in American history that were really accomplished through our great, big, beautiful bill, perhaps the most sweeping legislation ever passed in Congress. We wrapped 12 different bills up into one beautiful bill. That includes no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. Under these cuts, many families will be saving between $11,000 and $20,000 a year, and next spring is projected to be the largest tax refund season of all time. Because of tariffs, along with the just passed One Big Beautiful Bill, tonight I am also proud to announce that more than 1,450,000, think of this, 1,450,000 military service members will receive a special, we call Warrior Dividend before Christmas, a Warrior Dividend. In honor of our nation's founding in 1776, we are sending every soldier $1,776. Think of that. And the checks are already on the way. Nobody understood that one until about 30 minutes ago. We made a lot more money than anybody thought because of tariffs, and the bill helped us along. Nobody deserves it more than our military. And I say congratulations to everybody. And by the way, we now have record enlistment in our military. And last year, we had among the worst recruitment numbers in our military's history. What a difference a year makes. In addition, I'm doing what no politician of either party has ever done, standing up to the special interest to dramatically reduce the price of prescription drugs. I negotiated directly with the drug companies and foreign nations, which were taking advantage of our country for many decades, to slash prices on drugs and pharmaceuticals by as much as 400, 500, and even 600%. In other words, your drug costs will be plummeting downward. And I used the threat of tariffs to get foreign countries who would never have done it to pay the cost of this giant dollar reduction. They stopped ripping us off, and it began as of 4 days ago. There has never been anything like this in the history of our country. Drugs have only gone up, but now they'll be going down by numbers never conceived possible. It's called most favored nation, and no president has ever had the courage or ability to get this done until now. The first of these unprecedented price reductions will be available starting in January through a new website, trumprx.gov. And these big price cuts will greatly reduce the cost of health care. I'm also taking on the gigantic health insurance companies that have gotten rich on billions of dollars of money that should go directly to the people. The money should go to the people. That's you. So they can buy their own health insurance, which will give far better benefits at much lower costs. It will be far better health insurance. The current Unaffordable Care Act was created to make insurance companies rich. It was bad health care at much too high a cost. And you see that now in the steep increase in premiums being demanded by the Democrats, and they are demanding those increases, and it's their fault. It is not the Republicans' fault. It's the Democrats' fault. It's the Unaffordable Care Act, and everybody knew it. Again, I want the money to go directly to the people so you can buy your own health care. You'll get much better health care at a much lower price. The only losers will be insurance companies that have gotten rich, and the Democrat Party, which is totally controlled by those same insurance companies. They will not be happy, but that's okay with me because you, the people, are finally going to be getting great health care at a lower cost. Another major focus is the cost of energy. For years, the radical left Democrats exploited the green energy scam as an excuse to funnel many billions of dollars into their own massive slush funds, as their energy restrictions drastically drove up prices, and they drove them up at record levels. Electricity costs surged 30 to 100% under Biden, and the typical family lost $5,000 to $10,000 in higher energy costs. Think of that, $5,000 to $10,000 you lost. On day one, I declared a national energy emergency. Gasoline is now under $2.50 a gallon in much of the country. In some states, it, by the way, just hit $1.99 a gallon. And within the next 12 months, we will have opened 1,600 new electrical generating plants, a record, and it's a record that won't be beaten by practically, I would say, by anybody, or certainly not very soon. Prices on electricity and everything else will fall dramatically. The Democrat inflation disaster, again, the worst in the history of our country, also robbed millions of Americans of home ownership and indeed the American dream. The yearly cost of a typical new mortgage increased by $15,000 under Democrat rule. In 11 months, we've already gotten that annual cost down by $3,000, and it's coming down a lot lower. Wait till you see, the numbers are going to be shocking. And I'll soon announce our next chairman of the Federal Reserve, someone who believes in lower interest rates by a lot, and mortgage payments will be coming down even further. Early the new year, and you will see this, in the new year, I will announce some of the most aggressive housing reform plans in American history. A major factor in driving up housing costs was the colossal border invasion. We have never been invaded. This is the worst thing that, frankly, in my opinion, the worst thing that the Biden administration did to our country is the invasion at the border. The last administration and their allies in Congress brought in millions and millions of migrants and gave them taxpayer-funded housing while your rent and housing costs skyrocketed. Over 60% of growth in the rental market came from foreign migrants. At the same time, illegal aliens stole American jobs and flooded emergency rooms, getting free health care and education paid for by you, the American taxpayer. They also increased the cost of law enforcement by numbers so high that they are not even to be mentioned. For the first time in 50 years, we are now seeing reverse migration as migrants go back home, leaving more housing and more jobs for Americans. In the year before my election, all net creation of jobs was going to foreign migrants. Since I took office, 100% of all net job creation has gone to American-born citizens, 100%. In the end, government either serves the productive, patriotic, hardworking American citizen, or it serves those who break the laws, cheat the system, and seek power and profit at the expense of our nation. Look at Minnesota, where Somalians have taken over the economics of the state and have stolen billions and billions of dollars from Minnesota and indeed from the United States of America. And we're going to put an end to it. For so long as before my election, the vast majority of good and decent Americans were forced to watch as corrupt politicians plundered the halls of power, exploited our taxpayers, and pillaged every system that makes civilized society function. But not anymore, and you see that every day, not anymore. We're putting America first, and we are making America great again. Very simple. We are making America great again. Tonight, after 11 months, our border is secure. Inflation is stopped. Wages are up. Prices are down. Our nation is strong. America is respected, and our country is back, stronger than ever before. We're poised for an economic boom, the likes of which the world has never seen. Soon we will host the World Cup and the Olympics, both of which I got. But most importantly, we will celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. There could be no more fitting tribute to this epic milestone than to complete the comeback of America that began just 1 year ago. When the world looks at us next year, let them see a nation that is loyal to its citizens, faithful to its workers, confident to its identity, certain to its destiny, and the envy of the entire globe. We are respected again like we have never been respected before. To each and every one of you, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. God bless you all.
Okay, so what do you guys think about that? Let's go through some of the comments here. We had a lot of comments today, quite expressive. We have time tonight, so I do have to go to court tomorrow for Luigi Mangione, but let's take the time. Brian Cantrell, we'll start off with you, a great supporter. And guys, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Brian Cantrell says Trump left office. My gas was $1.85. Under Biden, it was $4.50. Sad. Okay, so you think Biden was tanking the economy? Okay, Brad says, yeah, Biden did have bad inflation, but it had to do with the fumbling of COVID pandemic. You twat. Oh my. All right. So we're getting a little pushback on that as well. But okay, welcome into you. Pissed says those 4 Republican and congressional that voted for the ACA need to be removed from the office ASAP. We no longer have a place in the Republican Party for the turncoats. Okay. All right. Anthony Johnson's in the building and says, can't wait to refinance a 50-year mortgage, said no one. What do you guys think about a 50-year mortgage? It's quite interesting, I must say. Brian Cantrell says how everyone has forgot was the debacle that was the Biden administration. So Brian is not happy with Biden administration. That's very clear. Shout out to you, Nikki. Thank you so much for holding us down in the comments. Comments are moving a lot. Surf Boy is back, says just counted 9 lies in the past 20 seconds. So he says Donald Trump is lying, lying, lying. Okay, let me get rid of this stream before it starts up again. Let me remove it. Okay. There we go. So we get rid of that. All right. So let's see here what everybody's saying. Robert says very few mortgagees complete a 30-year mortgage. That's true. Moose Knuckle says Trump loves Epstein. Oh my. Do you really believe that? He also says Trump loves, well, we can't say that one. Okay. All right. Stella says, be mindful of your language due to the YouTube policies. And thank you to everyone. We really do appreciate the support. Keep the comments coming. One Love, a strong supporter of this channel, says, I need that 50-year mortgage. I'll never pay it off. That's really true and funny at the same time, right? Depends on your age, right? Depends on your age. You have to be mighty young to get through a 50-year mortgage. Tim says Trump is the master. Oh my, a great Trump supporter there. Anthony Johnson says, thanks for the advice. Okay, thank you for the advice. Okay, Moose Knuckle says prices are down is hilarious. Okay. All right. So you must not think the prices are down. Basically, the president came on to tell you what a great job he's doing. If you think the president of the United States is doing a splendid job, put a 1 in the chat. But if you think he's doing a horrible job, put a 2 in the chat. And if you just don't care either way, put a 3 in the chat. Let's just see what everybody has to say. Put a 1 in the chat if you think Donald Trump is the man of the hour. That's what he believes. I believe. Rory Tater says Americans love worshiping politicians and celebrities like simps. That's a strong point, Rory. I think it's true in so many ways. Tim says, love the Trump. Okay, he loves Trump so much. And Tim, thanks for coming back. I always appreciate having you here, although I see you debating quite a lot. I like it. I love it. Brad says, Anthony, thanks for the advice. Okay. Stella says, like, share, and subscribe. Turn on your notifications to the channel. Okay, so Project says just release the list. That's all Project wants to know about. Where's the Epstein list at? Why haven't they released the files yet? What do you guys think? What's really going on in the government? I can't figure it out. Why didn't the Democrats release the files? That's a good question. I hear that question all the time. I read that question in the comments all the time too. Why didn't the Democrats release the files? Well, why aren't the Republicans releasing the Epstein files? What's going on? There has to be something there that the government does not want the average American to see. Maybe it's just so many people that they feel like society might take a huge hit, right? There's so many people that have done bad in high places. Maybe that's the case. Robert says, whatever you're doing here, Rory, okay. Tim is back at it again. Tim says Trump is the real deal, Holyfield, right? Okay, One Love says 1776. Okay, tell us, One Love, what does that mean? Okay, Stella says Trump was short, quick, and to the point. Okay, he did a great job as far as getting to the point and getting out. What a way to close the year. He took a victory lap. Do you guys agree with the president? That's the real question. For those of you who are just coming in, we just covered the press conference or special announcement that the president of the United States came on. And he talked about a lot of his accomplishments in this country. But what do you guys think? We want to know. We want to hear from you. Do you really think that he's delivering on the promises that he made while he was getting shot at on his running for the president, right? As he was running, he went through quite a few obstacles. But do you think those promises he made are being kept? Okay, Nikki says, if delusional was a person, you think Donald Trump is quite delusional. Okay. Dana says he has a towel every time he lies. His left shoulder moves back and his right shoulder moves forward. Okay. All right. What a good observation. So You're definitely checking out Donald Trump. Shauna says, all I can do is laugh because even he knows it's all a lie. Okay. So you think the president has been lying to us? So you think he was lying tonight as well? Robert says, strong speech from someone who looks like a young man. Okay. I think the president is pushing on what, 80, right? Is he in his late 70s, I believe? I believe him and Joe Biden are roughly the same age, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Piss says if Congress left and right would step up and stop being silly like children, we'd be further ahead. Okay. So you think Congress is a part of the issue. Okay. All right. Biden stopped to export the America's greatest commodity. Okay. Thank you for that. We have Estella says, thank you, sir, President. So we have a lot of people that really, really do like the President of the United States, Donald Trump. Guys, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. One Love says, under Biden, I had to work 27 hours a day to buy eggs. Wow. So you think eggs have gone down under Donald Trump? Tell us what you think. Nikki says, all good. Okay. Shout out to you, Nikki. I appreciate having you here, helping out definitely with Stella, trying to hold it down, keeping everybody moving forward. Dirty Demon says mortgage lasts for usually over 50 years. You are dumb for asking about a 50-year-old mortgage. Okay. All right. So somebody's not happy with the question that came over about the 50-year mortgage. Okay. All right. Dana says the problem Trump says he's inherited were created by Trump, and we're almost about to make the turn to what we was the people were looking for, and he then trashed it again. So she thinks we've had a vicious cycle of Donald Trump trumping and trashing the nation. Okay, Piss says I'd rather pay 500 another on a 50-year mortgage than 2,500 on a 25-year mortgage. What sounds more affordable? Okay, so a lot of people like to stretch out their mortgages to bring the payment down. If you really look at the reports, most rich people do not desire to pay off their mortgage. Research it, you'll see what I'm talking about. So that's the name of the game, is to keep all the expenses low and having a low mortgage to use the money in other places, such as investing. I think a lot of people tend to go that route. So there could be some wisdom in a 50-year mortgage. Dirty Demon says liberals plan the LA attack the other day. Never forget that. Okay. All right. So now we're starting to see the ones. There's quite a few ones in the chat. Seem like we have more Trump supporters than not. So you guys must have been very happy with his speech tonight, right? With all the ones that I'm seeing. Dirty Demon is getting a little pushback from someone in the comments as well. Joe, I agree with you. Rent is too high. That's something that I was reading about today. Rent in the United States has gone up tremendously as well. So you make a very good point. Estella has put so many ones. She must really love Trump to the fullest. Okay. All right. So mostly we have ones. Everybody's happy with Donald Trump here. Dirty Demon says liberals tried to kill a lot of New Year's Eve. Okay. They tried to, you think it was liberals that tried to take this attack, right? That happened out west. You think they were Democrats? Remember when Charlie Kirk was assassinated on Facebook? Everybody went on to say it was a liberal that did it, right? We keep getting that a lot. Everybody's pointing fingers every time we have a different event, especially something violent. They said it's the liberals, the libs, but the Democrats are saying it's the Republicans because it's a known fact that in most of the red states, that's where you have most of the weapons. Okay, so you could research that too. One Love says the Democrats voted not to release. Okay, so they didn't want to release the Epstein files. All right, very good. Dirty Demon says, so we know who to go for. Okay, all right. Stella says, well, Trump signed a bill that said it would be up to 30 days. Okay, all right. Thank you for that. Matthew says the rent is too damn high. Everybody's saying that. So people are still struggling, but most Trump supporters feel like he's making a lot of progress. So, but we do have people pushing back on that every day too. Estella says, "What's really important? The attack in the USA or what?" Okay. Yeah, those issues are quite concerning. We're starting to see it happen more and more, so much so that when you go into public, you never know what you're going to face. Dirty Demon says we all know it. Okay, Matthew says short because he's done so little. All right, so Stella, you get a little pushback on how Donald Trump's speech was short and sweet. They're saying, oh, it's short because he hasn't done much for this country. And that comes to you from Matthew. Dirty Demon says the news showed us liberals' true colors, you terrorists. Okay, wow. So the Democrats, the liberals are terrorists, according to Dirty Demon. Okay. All right, we have quite a few comments here. Matthew says, and he sniffs. Wow. So that's what you think of the president? You think he sniffs? Okay. Wow. On Esther says, so he gave all the soldiers $1,700 and didn't say anything about the 2000 stimulus he said he was sending in 2026. Okay, so that's a good point as well. Yep, that's a good point. One Love says Trump will give military members 1776, okay, dividend payments in honor of founding year 2776. Checks are on their way. Is there anyone in the audience that serves in the military and looking forward to their 1776 check? Put a 5. Put a 5 in the chat if you are part of the military and you're looking forward to receiving your check from the president right around the holidays. I think that's going to boost the morale of at least those that are in the military receiving money from the president, right? Have you guys seen this happen before in your lifetime where a president gave money to those in the military specifically? Tell us what you think. Brad says, how come Obama was able to deport many more immigrants than Trump and do it without all this mess? Okay. Yeah, it's a known fact that Barack Obama definitely deported an enormous amount of people. So I don't think a lot of people realize it. I think the press maybe didn't lean on Barack Obama as much as they do with Trump. So that's why a lot of people don't realize it. But he did deport probably more than Trump has, according to the amount of time he's been in the office. Dirty Demon says, on Hitler, keep lying to people about Trump. Okay, all right. Okay, Piss says Trump so far is at 80% on promises kept. He had a lot of hoops to jump through. Okay, so you think he's delivering 80% of what he's promised? I don't think a lot of people would agree with that, but it is quite possible, although I think that's a tough one. Art says, give his policies time. It took 4 years for Biden to screw it all up. Okay, so again, I would expect that because most of the people that responded to my question about whether or not you're a Trump supporter, put a 1 in the chat. If you're not, put a 2. We definitely had about 90% of Trump supporters. Wow. Okay, which that's not an issue. Robert said, thanks for your neutral tone. You get a sub like. Thank you very much, Robert. Come back and hang out with us. We do this every day. Sassy Mo says, one nation under fraud. Clearly visible with bribery and corruption for all. I could see that coming. Thank you, Sassy Mo. Nice to have you back. It's great to always have you here with your witty comments. I see your wit here. Okay, Stella says, enjoy what you're watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and consider becoming a member of the channel. Thank you very much, Stella, for your hard work. One Love says, inflation went up 20% under Biden. This is what we're dealing with right now. Under Biden, we collected $1 trillion in 4 years, 21 trillion in tariffs, 10 months under Trump. Okay, Trump says that he's making so much money for the country. They have the time and the money to send some to the military. So they're going to receive checks for $1,776 to those in the military. Okay. Karen says, what about us? That's the question. I think the average American, not all, but the average American will receive $2,000. I guess it's coming in 2026. Remember when they did the Doge project? Every American was supposed to receive, I believe, 5,000, but we didn't get it. The only thing that happened was Elon Musk got the boot, basically. That's all I recall from that situation. But now maybe you will get the 2,000. Only time can tell. Okay. Karen says, where taxpayers $2,000? That's the question. According to, I believe it was One Love, that's coming in 2026, right? That's what they're reporting. Okay. One Love says Obama didn't have the liberal judges blocking his immigrant deportation. Okay. So you're saying that Donald Trump is getting blocked every way? Okay. All right. Sassy Mo says the 2,000 is actually your money, so he's not really giving you anything. Okay. So it's just a sleight of hand. Is that what you're saying, Sassy Mo? Thank you very much for your comment. Lorenzo says Trump wants our military in his pocket. Oh man, that's a good. Lorenzo's a thinker, right? Or is that could be Lauren? Not sure. It's a tricky name you have there. Okay, Sharice, nice to have you here. Very good. So that's it. That's all the comments for tonight, guys. Thank you for your input in regards to the president coming on to talk about his victories that he's created for this country. And we thank you guys for all the participation. Sassy Mo says, why are all the Trump top officials living on military bases? That's a good question. Why is that the case, right? Maybe it's something that we don't know, right? But it's quite concerning. A lot of people talk about that. A lot of people also talk about how China owns a lot of the land in this country, especially around the military bases. They also have acquired most of the farms in this country. That's something to be concerned about, too. Brian says, Mel always, God bless, good man of knowledge. Thank you very much for that, Brian. I appreciate it. Nikki says, have a good rest of the night, everyone. Good night. Shout out to you too, Nikki. And shout out to you, Sharice. Nice having you here as well. So that's it for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to the channel tonight. We had a chance to hear from the President of the United States in regards to what he called to be quite astonishing accomplishments in this country. It seems that a lot of the comments show that people are happy with the president, but this is only reflective of this chat. I think a lot of people are concerned about the president. Sassy Mo is talking about J.D. Vance has been scooping up farmlands and making millions with foreign investors so far. They have bought over $56 billion worth of homes and land. And that's the thing you have to worry about too. In your local neighborhood, you used to have to, when you're buying a house, you're competing against your local market, your local neighbors. But now you have Amazon, you have Zillow buying houses. You have all of these major, huge corporations buying houses in your local neighborhood. So that's something you have to be concerned about, right? It also affects the comps or the comparative homes in your neighborhood and what the prices are going for. Now, if you're looking to sell your home, then that's a great deal. But if you're looking to buy homes, right, then you're going to be paying a lot more than probably what you had accounted for in your budget, because you're buying against corporations who seem to have endless money, endless funds. Okay. All right. So let's see here. I believe that's it for the comments. We'll see you guys back tomorrow night at 8 p.m. We'll be tuning in. Tomorrow we have Mama Flip. She'll be here. Thursday is the night that she often comes on, so we look forward to having her come on. Karen says, thank you for the live feed. Much is true what you're talking about. Thank you, Karen. Sassy Mo says, if you live in a house but don't own the land, you can be homeless. Yes, and also if you live in a house and you don't pay your taxes, especially in New York State, you could end up homeless. And not only that, a lot of people lose if you live in a homeowners association community, right? If you don't pay your homeowners association fees, they can also foreclose on your house too. So keep that in mind. It's very tricky. There's so many individuals that have paid their house off only to lose it due to not paying their taxes or paying their homeowners association fees. And that's a serious issue. Cherie says fake Trump is out three and lying to people about everything. Okay. Thank you for that. Brian Cantrell says 6 years you don't pay your taxes. Goodbye, house. Yes. Just like that. It doesn't matter if you paid $1 million or 100,000. If you don't pay the taxes, they can take it from you, right? So something to really think about. In Brooklyn, they're having, okay, there you go. One Love is talking about Brooklyn. I was just about to talk about Brooklyn. A lot of people are losing their houses, especially elderly people, because they were having financial trouble and they received these loans from the Hasidic community, some of the guys in that community, and they missed one payment and some tricky deal. And a lot of these people are being foreclosed. So if you don't believe it, go do some research on the elderly people. Usually, minority women of age have fell victim to this sad case. And it's a terrible thing when you think about it. But One Love says, I'm Brooklyn, New York. They're taking folks' homes. Yep. Wow. We were coming to the same point at the same time, One Love. Isn't that amazing? Like, how did that happen? I'm not sure. We think alike. Okay. Karen says that's true. Okay. Sassy Mo says, even if you own a house and pay your taxes, if they want that land it sits on, you're out. Okay. That's very true. Yes, yes, yes. They can do the adverse on that house and adverse domain, and you'll be out of there too. So there's so much to think about. So much a lot of people don't quite understand, but you could lose your property in so many different ways, right? Everything you work for or what your parents may have passed along to you, that's something you have to think about too for your own life. You try to take care of your children and leave them perhaps with money, a house, or what have you. And there's so many ways that they can lose it long after you're gone for the generations, right? So just because yes, that's right, One Love, eminent domain. Just because you try to take care of them, you have to also give them the education because they could easily lose what you have acquired. There's no doubt about that. And there's people that capitalize on the uneducated or the miseducated, and they have no problems taking advantage of you to the fullest. That's how a lot of people get rich, by taking from others, right? Sassy Mo says living trusts and owning the land, okay, is what you need. Okay. Thank you, Sassy Mo. Where are you guys tuning in from? Where are you tuning in? Stella says facts to you, Sassy. So your points are really hitting home, and we appreciate your comments. One Love says using a will versus a trust. Now, I don't want to get into this too much, but here in New York, I could tell you a quick story. We have the Rockefellers, right? And they left a trust. And then you have, what do you call it? I think it's the Vanderbilts, right? Or something of the sort. I think that's their name. And they basically left the inheritance under the control of the oldest son, allegedly. And over the years, he had a chance to use his discretion. And some people felt like they got railroaded by their uncle, by their brother, because he was controlling things. The way the Rockefellers left their trust is that everyone, basically, when you die, the life insurance goes into the trust. So each generation is giving to the trust, but also everyone is getting a certain amount of money. These type of things were penned so many years ago, but the problem is the average person don't understand how to execute this type of order for their family. Let's see. Sassy Mo says I think I read that already. Karen says Jersey here. Okay, so you're from Jersey, not too far from me. Sassy Mo says I'm from New York City. Okay, New York City. You must love that place, right? Yes, Sassy Mo says Vanderbilt's correct. Rockefellers. Okay, yeah. These individuals know how to really set up their families with trust. And this is a level that many of us need to understand and be able to set up our families in the same way so that they can be prosperous for generations too, not just for living in the here and now. Because I think a lot of people, more people are suffering than meets the eye, especially with the announcement the president made tonight. There's a lot of people that are not feeling that, and we have to be honest about that. Sharice says all sad people are homeless fast. Yes, there's a lot of people that are becoming homeless every day. It's a vicious cycle. Imagine all of the individuals affected by the government shutdown that was over a month. Like, what's really happening to these individuals and their bills, and what are they going through now? They said that most people are just one paycheck away from homelessness. And a lot of times when people go homeless, it's because maybe they come down with cancer, some major disease, right? Or you go through a divorce and you're not able to recover from it. You could end up homeless. It's not always just drugs or someone falling prey to their own habits. A lot of times people fall into some tough times, which is understandable, right? One Love says, with the Rockefeller Trust, they don't own anything. That's true. That's a key component. The Rockefellers, one of my clients is the Rockefellers out in Pauling, New York. So there's a lot of Rockefellers that still exist in this area of New York. Okay, One Love says 43 days. Okay, that's how long the shutdown was. So imagine not getting paid for that long. That's a dramatic effect on your pocketbook. And we know people are affected by it, although we did not hear about that tonight. I do understand. Sassy Mo says too many billionaires are like snakes in the trough in a government now. Yeah, we have a lot of them that have most of the influence on the government. Imagine that Elon Musk is a key ingredient as to the way our government is ran to this day. So money is king. And Elon Musk is worth what, 600 billion? So the man is a gold mine, right? And I believe he gets government contracts. He gets, at least he was getting when Doge was in effect, he was receiving 8 million a day from the government as far as the contracts that he has. They said it's the largest can of welfare, right? But yet he was able to go through and look at what Charlie Davis is receiving in Virginia for his monthly welfare or social security check. It really doesn't make sense, right? All right. One Love says Elon is now worth 650. Okay, so about 2 weeks ago, it was 600. He's already up another 50 billion. Isn't that something? Sassy Mo says billionaires and their corporation get more in government subsidies than the entire population. Isn't that something, right? But you never hear people complaining about that. They mostly complain about the poor. And that's the way it works, right? It's always been that way. Even in the Bible, it says you will always, actually, they said that Jesus says you will always have the poor, right? So, people are pretty, um, they're not too concerned about the poor, right? But I think the name of the game is to keep the eyes off the billionaires and focus on the poor. And that's how we stay scrambling, right? They want people scrambling, right? Indeed. Okay, so it looks like that's it for the comments. I don't see any more coming in. Okay, we have another one. Sassimo says, they're the real gold diggers. Yes, indeed. Taking all the money, right? It's like the song from Ray Charles, right? Gold digger. Yes, indeed. The government has the biggest hands, right? One Love says, blessed are the poor, for they will inherit heaven. Okay. Yes, that's the scripture too. Not sure which one it is, but that is Uncommon Woman says, I was about to type that Bible verse. There's also a gospel that says, you will always have the poor. And that's a quote from Jesus. I don't know what scripture. Whoever posted first will get $20. So let's see who can come up with that first. And we'll put the email in the chat so you can send me your Cash App and receive your prize. What scripture was that? You will always have the poor. Tell us what it is. Look like we don't have any takers so far. You have to really put that AI or that Google to work. Okay, Karen. Karen says, wow, imagine having all the money. I'd be happy just living comfortably, like a house, car, never have to worry about paying rent, food, okay, medical, just live comfortably and being healthy. That sounds like a remarkable life, right? So many people would love to have that as well. Absolutely. Okay, so I guess that's going to be it for tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back on tomorrow night at 8 o'clock to talk about some of the hot topics, what's happening in the United States, especially. Okay, we have another comment. Brian Cantrell says, no matter how the chat goes, to finish with scripture is the best. Amen. Okay, Luke 20. There we go. Luke 20. Sassy Mo, you're the winner. Sassy Mo, you might be the I think you've commented the most tonight, perhaps. No, there's a few. We can't count One Love. One Love is a part of the team, right? And Brian Cantrell, you guys are always in the mix, and it's a beautiful thing. Nice to have you guys. So Luke 20, you will always have the poor. And that's the attitude of a lot of people. People are not really concerned about the poor. Stella just put in the instructions for you winning. Thank you so much, Sassimo, for participating. It says I would donate to 20 to this channel. Thank you very much, Sassimo. You're far too kind. Thank you very much. We appreciate you so much. Well, that's going to be it for tonight. Tomorrow I will be in court for Luigi Mangione. I have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go at it. We're finishing. Well, I can't even say we're finishing up, but the hearing is still going on for this young man that allegedly took the life of Brian Thompson on the streets of New York City, December the 4th of last year. So we're just roughly over a year from that point. And it was a terrible moment, but I'm going to the hearing every day. Typically, court starts at 9:30, and it goes all the way to 5 or 6 o'clock every day. And when we had the Sean Diddy Combs case, I was going to the courthouse every day as well for 9 whole weeks. I was there even for jury selection. So going to court is a big part of what I do. I will also be going to this case about Charlie Kirk with Tyler Robertson. So that'll be the next case I go to. I'm also waiting to cover this case down in Texas. His name is Carmelo Anthony. He goes to trial, I believe, in June. He took the life of a young man. They both were at high school. It started raining, and the young black fella, he went under the tent of the opposite team, and they started telling him to get out of there or whatever. These guys were white, obviously. They were telling him get out, whatever. They shared some words. He threatened them like, you keep messing with me, I'm going to show you the whatever. And so at some point or another, he stabbed him right in the heart, I believe, and the guy lost his life. So that trial is coming up. That trial has a lot of racial tension because of the way I just described it to you. So I'll be covering that, boots on the ground as well. Nikki says, what, 3 a.m.? Dang, that's real early. Yes, indeed, it's early. Karen says, in our country, nobody should have to be poor. Poor people living out in the cold, hungry, having nothing, heartbreaking. Yeah, but you know what happens? And I see it in New York as I'm going to court every day. People are just used to seeing homeless. They'll walk right over you and not even care. So that that love that you have in your heart, Karen, a lot of people just don't have it. The concern, the compassion, your empathy is rare, in certain parts of the world. Sense does it make it right? No, but it's the reality that we live in. Sassy Mo says, "Early bird catches a worm." Yes, indeed. Karen says, "Charlie Kirk, I believe, was murdered by his own security and group." Now let's talk about that. Um, it appears that he was unalived by a guy on top of the building, right? But when you go back and you look at the video, maybe I'll show the video, but I see what you're saying. It looks like the bullet came from behind him when you actually look at the close ups. It also shows that some gentlemen are passing things behind him, and then they immediately get up and take down his camera or take down the camera that's above Charlie Kirk. I think that's a bit of the contention that Candace Owens is talking about as well. So, Karen, you make a valid point. We really can't speak on it. We're living in a weird world where if you talk about certain things, they want to shut you down or take away your voice, right? But something is off with it. Now, does it mean that that's truly what happened? Maybe those individuals around him were trying to protect his interests. I don't know. But the sad part is we don't know enough about the situation, because you just don't know. These people are so deceptive. Sassy Mo says people don't care until it happens to them. That's so true. I say the same thing. People you meet on the way up, you meet on the way down. Okay. That's so true. You have to be careful how you treat people. Karen says, yes, very sneaky, making signs with hands and stuff. Terrible. Yeah. And also, right before he is actually shot, other people got caught up because people behind him are making hand signals and so forth too. So people get caught up in that because we live in a world now where people online, they want to solve these cases. They want to be the one to crack the case. A lot of times with these cases, I actually helped solve a case before, so I don't really have freeness of speech. There was a young lady, she was in her 40s or 50s, and she went down in the woods and they found her. She had burned herself. I think it was like in Colorado. She had burned herself. They found her dead. She had parked by the road. She went to Dollar General before this all happened, and she had bought a little tarp and a few items. And I tried to explain to the police officers, I think this lady committed suicide, and that's what it turned out to be. They kept investigating the daughter. They investigated so many people, but I was able to tell them, I believe this lady took her own life, and that's what they later determined. Just based on how they had her on video at Home Depot, at Dollar General, and the thing she bought made me think that she was actually preparing to somehow in her mind, she thought that she could take the drugs, set herself on fire, and nobody would find her. But the fire didn't last long. So anyway, I forget the name of the case. I have to look it up. But you have so many internet sleuths trying to figure out cases, so it is what it is. Okay, Nikki says it's so sad, it's so cold, and mothers sitting with babies panhandling. Yeah, that's so true. That happens here in New York. On the first night of Luigi Mangione's case, there was a mother out there with her small baby in the freezing cold. I think they were out there all night. And this kid was probably a toddler. I couldn't understand it, but that's not any of my business. So it is what it is. Vinny, welcome back, Vinny. Let's see. Vinny always has great comments. Tyler's own parents think he shot Charlie, and they would know. Okay. That's true. That's true. Karen says, seems with Charlie's murder, it was all about the money. Okay. All right. I understand that. I understand that. Sassy Mo says a lot of conspiracy theories and plenty of characters in it. Makes sense. Brian Cantrell says, yes, Vinny. He told his lover he did it. Funny he had a gun and took a shot, and now he didn't do it. Makes no sense. Again, like I brought out last night with Occam's razor, usually the simplest answer is probably the correct one. When you get into the conspiracy theories, it gets more complicated. Then you have to go down another rabbit hole to make this one work. So usually simpler is better. Vinny says, and Tyler himself didn't ever argue his innocence. Okay. That's right. I mean, his life is on the line. You would think he would argue about it. Vinny says, 1 + 1 is 2. Yes, Occam's razor. All right, that's it, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for all the likes, the shares, and the subscriptions. Sassy Mo says, just follow the money. It's a long trail. Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. We covered Donald Trump tonight. He's very happy with the work that he's done for this country. I think Donald Trump is going to go down, at least with him and his followers, as one of the best presidents. I think he thinks that. So that's the president, and we covered it. Sassy Mo says, just follow the money trail. Okay, I covered that. So thank you guys for tuning in. Have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Until then, be well, and I'll talk to you soon.
Different voices, but the same song. Living a world where we all belong. Kindness leading the way, breaking the chains. In the symphony of love, the thing remains. Embracing diversity, brighter days in sight. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. The colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.